Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your boy Choppadong. I got Tattoo with us for the rest of the week, it appears. And we are MLB Live Lock Show, DFSArmy.com, coming to you live on YouTube. So thanks for tuning in. We got all the usual guys. They're starting to pile in. We are a couple of minutes late today because I've been looking at everything but DFS today. I plug into social media for our team and am always looking at crap out there. And in the last couple of minutes, Tattoo and I are playing weather forecaster for the DFS slate. I'm going to lead off with one thing for the early birds because it's not really cause for alarm, but it is something people need to pay attention to. And not to get political, not to get overly political, but as bills approach Congress and get voted on, a lot of times they get stuffed with pork at the end, and we all know that. The issue here is now they are putting a cap on the amount of gambling losses that you can claim on your taxes. If you win 100K, you can only claim 90% losses, which means you're getting taxed on 10K regardless. If that concerns you as a recreational gambler, then whether it's casinos or DFS or anything that gets a 1099, you need to talk to your representative and tell him don't vote for that shit. Professional gamblers, it's really a big deal about it. It's all over Twitter. I'm not a tax guy. I'm not offering tax advice. I'm just saying that's trying to get stuffed in at the last second, and it might be worth contacting your congressman about. Other than that, we've been playing Weatherman, and we'll start off with the weather here in a minute. Tattoo, how you doing? And you're not getting rained on up there, are you?
No, we were supposed to get rain today, but it never really panned out. Fighting a little head cold or something, or cutting grass and weed eating got me.
Down here, we call it a hangover. It's just a hangover, buddy. Ibuprofen and some Gatorade, you're good to go. Get outside, sweat it out. We do have a weather concern. If you look at the weather station, and I liked it, whatever we got 10 games on the slate. Yes, we have Coors on the slate. The weather concern was Cincinnati at Boston because Milwaukee and the New York Mets have already postponed. I take the 10 games and I just start down here. If I don't know the lock time, I just count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I know that these 90 and 80 percenters are on the all-day slate. They're gone. I'm not paying attention to Washington or Philadelphia. If you're playing that early slate, you do need to pay attention to them. But otherwise, whatever. I look here. 15% Tampa Bay, not a problem. 20% Atlanta, not a problem. Pause. We'll get back to that one. But 40% in Boston, and of course, New York's already gone. So concern for in-game delays in those situations, only a 5% PPD risk in Atlanta. These on the surface make me say, whatever, and I move on. They don't even bat my eye. However, Uppers Lad was in our Discord and was talking about being concerned about those games, which you picked up on too. So Tattoo and I dug a little deeper. What's your opinion? Because I checked about 3 websites while we were getting ready to go live. What's your opinion, buddy?
My opinion is I would probably stay away from the pitching, but I have no problem with the bats right now.
Consensus achieved. I'd be the same way. I would not be playing any pitchers. I would, just to be safe, because that's enough of a concern late, getting closer to lock, that I don't know if a credible source sees something wrong. Now, I looked at our competition, and some of the weather guys out there were saying no problem. I don't know how often they update. I looked at our own Joey Tornado, and I don't think he updated recently. I haven't seen a post in the last 5 minutes in the weather room, though. So when that happens, I go digging around the other websites, and being a residential weather nerd, I went looking at future radar models, and some of them are showing storms pop up around Atlanta between 8 and 9. Some of them are not showing anything at 8 or 9. The consensus hourly forecast is, 70% rain chances at 6, 7, and 8, dropping to 50-50 for 9, 10, 11 o'clock, whatever. That's enough doubt that it concerns me. Knowing a little bit of what I know about weather patterns in that area of the country, pop-up storms with no wind upstairs in the atmosphere tend to drift. They don't tend to move in and move out. So if one does get unlucky and pop up over the stadium, it could pose potential problem. I would still gamble with bats, but that alone would concern me enough about arms that I'm out. So that's why we were 2 minutes late today. And in a nutshell, I think that that's fairly decent coverage out of a couple of amateur, non-accountant, non-weather type people that just love to throw nickels and quarters at everything under the sun and the occasional $20 bill. Shit, where do we go from here? Because I mean, okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. It's been real.
It's been fun. It hadn't been real fun.
Where do we go from here? We got Coors on the slate. The weather thing should tell us who they're playing, who's going to be expensive. Cleveland, no, Houston. Houston's going to be expensive and popular. I don't know. Any of the weather models good looking? Harlock, one of them did. I think it was AccuWeather. Don't bring that up around Joey Tornado. He will cut a bitch. Used to work for them, doesn't like the outfit, but AccuWeather had clean models all the way through the evening. Any weather models good looking? You might be talking about the Latinas on Univision and stuff, because let me tell you, those weather models are fire. So with Coors on the slate, that's going to be a high implied run total. We've got starting pitcher. It looked like Jacob deGrom was chalk. It looked like Yamamoto, Holmes, and Baz are also going to be popular. So I'm going to let Tattoo run off on the pitchers and tell you who he likes and who his little sneaky picks are as I call up the Carnage report. So let her rip, Tat. Let us know.
Yeah, I would say DeGrom is the chalk. He had a perfect game going into the 7th inning last time against the Orioles, and then walked, I think, Holiday, and then I guess gave up a hit at some point. But I think he's your chalk. Obviously, he's going to probably be your cash pitcher. Then you got Yamamoto, against the White Sox. I don't mind taking some shots on Colton Gordon, even though it's in Colorado. But like you said, Baez and Matthew Boyd, and that's pretty much my pitching pool. I don't have a lot in there.
I would start with
especially with the weather losing some. So.
The way my methodology goes in Domination Station, I know I'm showing Carnage report, but I would start with DeGrom being these chalk. And then I would say, who can give me a compelling reason to come off of him? Now, I know we take 2 pitchers on DraftKings, but this is a little bit of old school FanDuel. I look at DeGrom, pretty good numbers going for him. 10-3 on DK and salary. Let's go over to the FanDuel side, 11K on FanDuel and a 503 K score. So can I get cheaper for similar K score? Well, I look down at Colton Gordon facing Colorado, 511 K score, 8,600, and similar Carnage numbers. I mean, yeah, he's going to be supposedly a more, volatile pitcher, but shit, for 3K in savings, same K score and 3K in savings, I like it. I can go all the way up to the top, and Freddie Peralta, that game's gone though, but Freddie Peralta would have hit my radar. Looking down the list a little bit, when you start suffering in K score, is Shane Baz at 486 K score and a 9,100 at FanDuel salary. That's not enough of a. It's not enough of a drop off. $2,000. I don't know. I guess I could say sure, maybe. Then you get down to the 460 and Yamamoto, who's also drawing ownership, and he's $200 less than DeGrom, and he's 40 points less in K score. Nope, I'd stay with DeGrom in that case. I don't see Brady Singer at 479, way down there at 8,200 against Boston. Yeah. Don't trust it. I don't know. I can see Gordon for sure. I like how he hit the radar. DeGrom, probably not Yamamoto in place of DeGrom. I don't even know if you can use them both together on DraftKings. That's getting a little up there, getting a little expensive.
We do have an incredible pitcher name tonight.
Well, let's see if we can find is it Emerson Hancock.
Yeah.
Is that your boy?
No.
Who's your name? Huh?
He's the last guy on the Carnage report.
Dick Fitz.
Yeah.
Dicky Fitz. When your dick throws Fitz. Hey, you know what? If he throws, throwing Fitz.
It'd be better if you're facing Emerson Hancock.
Right. Dick Fitz and oh God, it's just my mind just exploded with 6th grade jokes and arm farts. So I mean, I don't. We're gonna have to give my maturity and professionalism pause for a minute to come back on track because it's just, woo, my head just.
I don't have any, so they don't expect
right.
it.
No, I still have a little bit left in there. I'm looking up and down at the Carnage report, the K score, and all that stuff. And if I'm the DFS listener, which thanks for everybody for tuning in once again. I know we've got more people that have piled in now. This is the quickest way for me to narrow down a pitching pool, and I can immediately get it down to DeGrom, Gordon, maybe Yamamoto's a pivot off of DeGrom. I don't know. Boyd's K score is pretty low, but Boz is okay, and that's about it. I got 3 or 4 pitchers I'm interested in, and that's it, which probably means somebody else is going off tonight. It's going to hit the nuts, but if they hit the nuts, great. As long as they don't hit the nuts with ownership. If they hit the nuts and carry ownership, it's going to hurt.
The answer, I think, was I love Grant Holmes if it wasn't for the weather.
Grant Holmes, where's that one?
Braves pitcher.
Why am I not?
I don't see him on the list. No.
He should be in LA. I see Fuentes. The Holmes I see is Clay Holmes, Milwaukee. That's the Milwaukee Mets game that's been canceled, and that's not anything anybody be talking about anyway, I wouldn't think. Yeah, I'm missing it. Must not be on this list. If it's not on this list, well, bad Millie.
Yeah, it says, Diddler.
Bad Millie. Let's call up the old leverage stacks here really quick. Well, let's see. Who should we be looking at? We should be looking at Houston and Colorado. Should be looking at the Dodgers. Should be looking at maybe the Cubs, Braves. Those guys are tipping the bottom of the Carnage report in terms of being in good matchups. So when we kick over to leverage stacks, I want to see those names repeated. And we'll see when we rank here by implied run total. Let's give that a little clicky click. And there's Houston, LA, Atlanta, Chicago. Boston's gone. Boston's trouble spot, theoretically. Tampa, Arizona, Cincinnati, Colorado. You know my methodology. I would take a look at Houston out in Colorado, and I would say they're not really highly owned, but they're garnering enough ownership. If you want to fade them, that's fine. And just take smatterings of the rest. That's fine. But I don't know. If you wanted to play them tonight, they're not so damaging. They're not so highly owned on a big slate like this. This is not the game because the drop-off's not so real. When I look at the ownership of 86, dropped down to 73 to Colorado to 61 Cincinnati, 60 in Boston. That one's not that's not scaring me that much. That's pretty balanced ownership. Tells me if you want Houston, you can play Houston tonight, no problem. They don't generate leverage, though. They're the 10th leverage-ranked team. They're not generating leverage. It doesn't look like Colorado's generating leverage either. So if you're a leverage guy and a game theory guy, even at this more balanced, less obvious ownership, you fade them anyway because you want the leverage of the other teams. I don't know. What are you doing? We can play the game with you. You've got how many tier 1 teams?
Houston is just a tier amongst itself.
You're way up, you're way high on them?
With it being, I guess you kind of just almost have to. So I just kind of set them up there as your obvious chalk, But yeah, everything would say that they would be great, but it's baseball, so they could get no hit tonight.
Yeah, I got no issues looking at that leverage chart, seeing they were the 10th leverage generating team, and be like, oh, I can fade them. It's Houston. They're not LA or Chicago. I can get off of them myself. It'll probably prove to be wrong because it's baseball. But so they're in a tier by themselves.
I mean, like I said, with it Coors and Mega Chalk. I mean,
sure. I can see the Dodgers, Atlanta. Okay, Cubs, not the worst. I don't know why the Cubs ownership is so low, unless they're just so expensive with the Dodgers. But their ownership's really, really low. Tampa, again, that's a slight weather concern. And this was Tampa on the early. I've already forgotten the weather report and seen that. Arizona's been a go-to for me for a while. When I catch them at low ownership and a decent implied run total, I just include them in my stacks. They might be all right. I'll tell you the other one, and I know they're going up against Atlanta, but those pesky Angels, they hit home runs or strike out 10 times.
Yeah,
they wouldn't be the worst. All right, so guys, throw out there in those old comments who you're looking for. Sheet never updated to Prince, I guess. But throw out who you're. And that was Atlanta, you said, Grant Holmes?
Yeah, he's the Atlanta pitcher.
Weather concern, I'm out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'd love him if it wasn't for the weather.
Yeah, just weather concern, I'm out. But this would be the opportunity. There's Seattle for Calvin. I can see Seattle being one of your teams. I don't see them being tier 1 today.
No, they're not. They actually aren't on the list.
Not even on the list at all. That seems to be one of the favorites that you like. Let's see. Who would be number 1? Well, you said Houston was one of your own. So if Houston is not in a tier, if they're their own tier, how many of the next tier below Houston are there?
3.
So if I had to look at 3 teams, help me out, guys. Help me out in the comments. I don't want to look the fool alone. I'm going to say Atlanta.
Tier 2.
I will cheat. I'm going to save one that you did tell me earlier. I'm going to save that for everybody else. Let's go with the big dogs, Dodgers and Cubs. Either one of those guys in there?
Dodgers
are. God, I love you, but it makes me like the Cubs more. Let's see. How about Tampa?
Tier 3.
Cubs are tier 3. Tampa?
2.
Tier 2. Arizona?
2.
Shit, you're getting down that list on those tier 1 teams. You said there's 3 teams, and we got one of them already in LA. I know the one. I know the other one. I'm trying to find the third one. It's not Seattle. Are you a San Francisco honk?
Tier 3.
Tier 3. Let's see. Are you chasing Baltimore?
Not on the list.
They're way down the list. Yeah, I would think that. Oh, did I mention them with the LA Angels?
Also not on the list.
Please don't tell me Kansas City Royals.
Not on the list.
Good. Man, is it the Rockies?
The Rockies are tier 3.
Tier 3. Holy shit. This is okay. Now. All right. I left one of them out there wide open for everybody. That's a tier 1 team.
Texas is tier 2.
Tier 2. A's?
And the A's are tier 3.
Tier 3. Boy, we can't get him tonight. We can't figure him out. This has to be the best tattoos ever stumped the chumps in recent history. I'm waiting for somebody to get that. I mean, I've damn near named all the teams. I'm waiting for somebody to get. There it is. Harlock got your tier 1 team. And Harlock seems to be dialed into you. So Boston's tier 1. I couldn't cheat and give that one away because that was one that you mentioned before the show, and I would be sounding, if I said that and claimed it, I'd be sounding smarter than I really am. And I don't know. Ask my wife. I'm not in the business of sounding smart. What's the other?
One more tier 1.
What's the other one? Yeah, he said 3. tier 1 teams to Prince, and that's not including Houston. So we've got Boston and we've got the LA Dodgers, and we're still missing another team. And I've even chosen the Kansas City Royals, and he said not on the list. So we're hurting for that third team. Which one of you guys is going to get it? Because I mentioned LA, I mentioned Atlanta, I mentioned the Cubs, we mentioned Boston, I mentioned Tampa, Arizona. Ah, crap. All right, there's one. There's another we mentioned Texas and Seattle, San Francisco, Kansas City, LA, the A's. Ah, it ain't gonna be Cleveland or Chicago, the White Sox. So there's only one other one sitting out there, and I probably should have guessed this one because I know you kind of like them sometimes. There it is. Harlock got you again with the Reds, didn't he?
He did.
All right. So everybody else is tier 2 or tier 3. Any interest in San Fran versus Zach Gallen? I mean,
yeah.
In a contrarian sense, sure.
I like the Cubs.
Is San Francisco my first choice? No. But can I see it, and would I sign off on it? Sure. Big slate. Guess right. You got fewer competition at the top, and you walk your way into the deep money. So if you're on San Francisco, I wish you the best of luck. Go for it. I'm not going to tell you no. Cubs are the stack for today. Watch. I kind of agree with Pierre. I like the Cubs.
No, I do. I ended up hitting them in tier 3 just because I was trying not to put too many in the same tier. But I mean, then as I'm like going through my notes and looking at my, my player pool, I'm like, I should probably be higher on the Cubs.
Okay. There you go. So we'll put them at tier, 1.5 or tier 2.5?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Kind of like you like your steak, medium rare plus.
I like my steak medium rare.
That's right. I'm a medium rare guy too. If I could really target it, I would be medium rare plus, right in between medium rare and medium. It's kind of where I like it. Depends on the cut of meat. The leaner cuts, the fillets and strips and stuff are down on the medium rare side. The ribeyes and the sirloins that have a little more fat marbled throughout are a little more closer to the medium side. And I should be selling pellet grills for a living because I'm telling you, you cannot miss on those damn things. You cannot miss on.
You gotta be selling steaks because now I want one.
Right. Well, that's all right. We medium rare to rare. I can go rare. We had some the other night that were pretty damn rare. My
dad had a buddy who would go to the store, buy the raw steak and eat it.
Yeah, tartare. I worked for years in Applebee's. That's where I met my wife. And I'm not going to say that the steak in Applebee's is something that, no, that's not where I'm going with this. I moved to Longhorn, the steakhouse, and opened one of the franchises here in St. Louis. And we were working there one night, running around doing our thing. And this dude, 6'4", 220, built like a brick shit house, comes marching in combat fatigues and black army boots. And it's like, who in the hell is that? Looks like he's right off the Army Rangers. Comes in, sits down at the corner spot on the bar, tells the little bartender lady, how big is your biggest fillet? And she says, whatever, 10 ounces. And he says, can I get one bigger? And she said, yeah, we hand cut them. You can pay an extra X number of dollars per ounce and get it. He goes, okay, bring me a 16-ounce fillet. She goes, okay, how would you like it cooked? He goes, tartare. She goes, what's tartare? She had to look it up, right? Well, tartares obviously don't even touch it to the grill, really. Just bring it. She brought him the steak. She brought him silverware, and he took the silverware and he pushed it aside, and he reached down into his combat boot and pulled out his own knife and started cutting it up. And it was like, all right, this guy, I don't know if he's doing this for shock and awe or what the hell his deal was. Probably shock and awe. But I was like, it worked. The rest of us walked around. Hey, did you see the dude at the bar? Hey, did you see the dude at the bar? Hey, did you see the dude at the bar? Eating raw freaking steak like a lion in the Serengeti. That was something I'm never going to forget seeing tonight.
I wonder if Raz eats those cannibal sandwiches.
He probably eats them however he wants. Actual dinosaur. Yeah, he probably was.
I had
The
a buddy
T-Rex.
from Wisconsin, and he brought like some of that shit. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like,
Not 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 my thing. Now, I will say I can go as high as medium for Pierre, but I will tell you anything that you put A1 steak sauce on or barbecue sauce, that's the war crime. If you want to insult my cooking, you ask me for sauce with that meat. I
see, I
might tell
love
you.
A1.
What's that?
I love A1. I love
You
A1 sauce.
you eat that on a medium rare steak?
Oh yeah.
That steak wasn't seasoned right, my man.
No, I mean, I season my steaks. It's something about, like, I don't dump it on it, but I'll have it to the side and just
Dip it.
dip.
The last time I had A1 or Heinz 57 was in a damn Ponderosa in the 1980s. But those steaks were about the same caliber as an Applebee's steak. I do
Yeah.
not go to Applebee's to order steak.
I went to Morton Steak to tell you, like, I like A1. I went to Morton Steakhouse and got A1 for my steak.
Golly. Did they kick
I
you out?
asked if it would insult the chef,
At least
and
yeah.
he's like, no. I was like, okay, well, yeah, bring that shit.
Man, I'm telling you, I would have put on your bill an A1 surcharge or something. I'd have charged you $1.50 to have it. And I'm like, if you want it that bad,
I'm rednecker than you are.
probably a little bit, but it ain't that bad. Don's asking who has the best ribs, St. Louis, Texas, or Memphis. Man, I don't like the St. Louis cut. I like baby backs. So I don't do St. Louis style ribs. I like the St. Louis and the Kansas City barbecue sauces. They're sweeter. I don't know if I've had ribs in Texas. They're very good. I've had them in Memphis. They're very good. I don't know. I think it's a win in Rome thing for me.
The only thing I know is North Carolina is the best pulled pork.
Okay. Their barbecue sauce has mustard in it. It's kind of goofy.
That's more South Carolina.
Okay.
North Carolina is Eastern North Carolina is vinegar based. Western North Carolina is like the red sauce.
Sure.
I'm a vinegar guy.
The
Just fucking dump vinegar all over it.
best barbecue, this will shock people. The best barbecue I've had came from an outfit from New Jersey. I was like, that ain't exactly known for their barbecue, but I don't remember where we were. We were walking around some fair somewhere, and they had all of these booths all over the place, 50 booths or more. As we're walking around, trying all these different ones. I kept going back to that one. I was like, where is this outfit from? I looked up on their sign. It said from New Jersey. I was like, oh, no, I didn't. I just insulted the entire Midwest and South. It's good stuff. What else do you have? And we've covered a lot. I mean, it doesn't take long to cover the pitchers, the bats,
Yeah.
the implied run totals, the chalk, the pit, all that stuff. What do you have any individual players you like? Do you have any dong calls tonight or anything that you're really
I do
kind of paying attention to?
I have a crazy, I don't know if he's crazy dong call. But let me get back to my sheet here real quick, trying to remember. I love Ozzy Albies.
Yeah.
You know his BVP?
I just looked at it. Pretty strong.
Pretty good.
Is it a 3,000 slugging percentage? Is a 3,000 OPS? Is that a good number?
I like it.
You can read the stats. Those are pretty impressive. Oh my God. His non-dong is a double.
Yeah.
I mean,
he has like 4 hits out of 6, and they're all extra base hits.
yeah, that's pretty strong shit. Did you see Judge off Gausman?
Yeah. That was.
I like when I look for these guys. I like the bigger samples. I like Jose Ramirez 12 for 41 against Matthew Boyd. I like Aaron Judge 14 for 41 against Kevin Gausman.
600.
Can't argue Judge with half a dozen dingers. That is like Chicks dig the long ball, dude.
But yeah,
Jose's got 3 off of Boyd. Those all speak to me.
Jose Ramirez.
I mean, even Brian Reynolds has 2 bombs off of Andre Palante. The problem is it's his only 2 hits and 17 at-bats. That's not great. Cal Raleigh, he's got a bomb off Lorenzen, but he's only 1 for 5. So those solo hits, those guys that only have 1 or 2 hits, there's Gary Sanchez, 2 for 9 against DeGrom. Volpe's only 3 for 18 off of Gausman. Those aren't going to impress me. Carlos Santana, if he makes the lineup for whatever reason off Matthew Boyd's 10 for 37, you get my attention there. When you're 10 for 37 or like the other guys at the top, 12 for 41, 14 for 41, those guys are, if you're batting 300 off of a pitcher, you got my attention. And then if you popped a couple over the wall, Aaron Judge, Ozzie Albies, Jose Ramirez, all in play.
Pavin Smith. I like Drake Baldwin, Adelise Garcia, Willie Ademus, and Patrick Bailey.
Whoa. Where'd you find that guy?
Dog shit cheap on San Francisco.
You went digging into the New Jersey barbecue for that one.
I did for that one.
Yeah, Pollock, A1 with more zip. That's the whatever sauce he'd mentioned, the pick a pepper. But if Patrick Bailey hits a bomb tonight, I'll tell you what, I'll put A1 on my steak the next time.
I need to check what he is.
I'll actually take a picture of it and tweet it or something like that. A1 on the steak sauce because Patrick Bailey hit a bomb for tattoo. Everybody on Twitter will be like, what?
What the hell?
Who's this guy? Well, you got to follow the show if you want to get the inside jokes. It's just that simple, which makes me appreciate the regular crowd even more. Thank you guys for tuning in as always.
Let's see here.
What else you got for people on the slate today in terms of strategy? Because to be quite honest with you, I'm out. I got 24 booster lineups to build tonight. I'm going to probably take about 4 or 5 offenses, 2 to 3 lineups each. 5 stack them, let it eat, hope for the best. I'm cold right now, though, so I should be taking advice from the people in the comments section.
Contest selection, remember your satellites. And Patrick Bailey is plus 1,000. So
that'd be a sweet $10 bill on a dollar bet.
It would.
Buy you a whole bunch of A1.
Yeah, I could buy.
If he hits a bomb, Pierre says he'll put ketchup on his next steak. There we go.
I put ketchup on pizza when I was a kid.
Man.
Like at school, like that school square pizza you get.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to do something to make it edible.
I got a kid that puts barbecue sauce on literally everything.
I mean, nothing wrong with that.
Bet Kenta Maeda hits a home run. You guys are entertaining today.
Do you understand the joke?
What, that Kenta Maeda hits home run? No, I didn't pick. I just know he's a pitcher. He's not even in the league anymore, I don't believe.
When I was putting my cores in, you type in a couple letters and a list pops down.
Oh, okay.
And I hit Kenta Maeda as my core at second base. So I get tagged by Ed. It was like, with all due respect, tattoo.
Right.
I was like, and that's the first thing I see. I'm like, what the hell did I do? And then I'm like, oh, dumbass.
That's well played.
I thought I had done something I did, but I thought I had done something really stupid or whatever.
Yeah, that qualifies. That one.
Yeah, it does. It's not the first time.
I just knew he was not a pitcher in the league anymore, so I thought that was some funny shit. I had no idea it had meaning behind it. That's great. All right, the Prince wants a full stack for tonight. Yes, we all need to laugh. Man, that's hopefully what you guys are tuning in for, is to get some giggles out of the crowd, because you can't ever take us too seriously around here. We're not a serious.
You got to be to laugh in life. I mean, I had a guy I used to work with, and I'd never missed a day of work because we had so much fun.
I'm with you.
just laughing and joking. I wanted to go to work because it was a good time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had a coworker like that. I worked for my dad in the newspaper industry, and my dad used to always make me go back and web the press with paper and ink the trays for the printing press, because that was the shit work nobody wanted to do. And I was forced to be low man on the totem pole because my dad was a very anti-nepotism, old school parent.
Yeah.
I was like, nobody's going to think you're freeloading around here. He's like, you're not only going to have the shit jobs, but you're going to have the shit jobs for twice as long as anybody else would have the shit jobs, just to prove to all of the people that I'm going to screw my son over harder than. I was like, why did I apply for this job? I was like, I don't want to work here, Dad. But yeah, I had a time when I took the ink gun. It was a compressed ink out of a 55-gallon drum, had a hose and a gun on it, like you're filling up your car with gasoline type hose. Yeah. Man, I didn't take the cap off of that thing because I didn't know it had one on it. And you just hear the compressor going, shh, 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 shh. And I'm like, where's the ink? Where's the ink? No ink, no ink, no ink. I picked the thing up and I kind of look up in the air at it, and poof, the cap came off and ink shot across that rim, probably went 50 or 60 feet, covered the back wall, the whole bit. Took me hours to clean that shit off the wall. Ugh. I was like, they were like, you better get that before your dad sees that. Your dad's going to be like, that's my ink cost. That's my ink cost. Be like, oh, I'm back. I'm trying. Wax on, wax off. I'm trying.
The newspaper plant for like at least the Richmond Times-Dispatch, but I guess they also print, like New York Times and all other shit. But that's like right behind my house, and it's wild because the railroad tracks go down and you see like the big, huge rolls of paper.
Yep.
And then it goes through and the train goes right into the inside of the building, and they unload it. And you can go over there and take a tour and stuff while, watch them make
those are big. Yeah. Those are bigger operations than my dad's. We were in a 10,000 person town. We did have, now, I don't know if you've ever heard my story about kegs rolling off the back of a rider truck before, and I'll tell that some other time. But if you can remember,
it's not where I thought you meant when you first said kegs.
If you can imagine the trying to stop a keg that rolls off the back of a rider truck and rolls across a concrete basketball outdoor court setting up for a college party, how hard that is to stop without getting steamrolled. Those rolls of paper coming off the back of newspaper delivery trucks, worse. Oh, you can't stop them. First of all, you don't want them to hit the ground, obviously, but you can't stop them. And they're so fucking heavy, you have to use the little forklift things that come down and go in there and pick it up and move it like
you do with like carpet.
Yeah, and hay bales and all that stuff. That, man, I got to tell you, those things, operating that little machine and swinging those things around and stacking them 3 and 4 high in the room, and obviously, like anybody, praying that lightning doesn't ever hit the building because you've got a bunch of kindling sitting back in there.
I will say I can fucking drive anything.
Interesting world, man. That one, and again, a building was small enough. It wasn't like on a Bobcat. It wasn't a skid steer or anything like that. It was just a crane and whatever. You can stack Houston, Harlock, if you want, but I think Tattoo'd tell you to pair them with Boston or somebody else.
Boston. I mean, depending on the size of that single entry, I might be mega chalking, if it's like a small field, I gotta eat some level of chalk.
So who would you mega chalk them with if it's Houston, and who? Colorado?
Probably Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, Boston's got a good salary per dollar, blah 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 blah.
Pollock Hillbilly's funny, man. I can only imagine down cobblestone roads. 476 Harlock. That's actually not the smallest field in the world. That's pretty decent size.
Yeah, it's a good size.
You might want to get contrarian there. You don't want to double chalk that lineup. And I don't mean get contrarian by consider the White Sox. I just mean get something that is not highly owned. So if I was
maybe stack the Boston and mini stack the Houston.
That's what I was going to say. Is I'd mini stack Houston, and then I'd either big stack like Boston, Chicago if I could. Again, your Tampa, Arizona, you like Cincinnati, they would play.
And but my note in the thing also says hard to trust.
No. Sure, they are hard to trust. FanDuel, if that changes anything, not really. Other than that, you're going to FanDuel. Okay, if you're going to take Houston and make them your small stack to kind of get off the chalk, and let's say you're going to use Boston as your bigger stack, and they're fairly owned on leverage stacks, right? 60%.
You know that Atlanta is higher owned than Houston on FanDuel?
Is that right? That's crazy. Then point is, you might want to get off of the pitcher at that point and not eat DeGrom because you're already using two chalky offenses. If you were going to use DeGrom and then Houston as your small stack, then you might want to get something a little lower owned than Boston, in my opinion, in your big stack. Somebody, Atlanta, Tampa, Arizona, somebody in that range. I mean, you could even use, you would get a little more contrarian and do the Cubbies or the Dodgers, but that's going to be pricey. Hard to do. But hopefully you understand the point in that, if you're not married to Houston, I personally, you're in a big enough tournament, almost 500 people, that I think that you could consider a fade of Houston and then just do whatever the hell you want. Houston's going to be chalky enough. Holmes is showing us the chalk now. Yeah. Let me look at that.
Yeah, I'll say we're just going to have to monitor the weather.
And is that on? Well, let's go. I'm going to look at FanDuel here right quick, just so everybody can see where I'm going with it. Yeah, Holmes in Atlanta, man. If he's chalky and they've got any kind of weather concern, the arms are a little bit risky. F that, man. I'd bail on that and hope it rains like hell.
On Swish Analytics, every game is listed as unlikely weather delay / rain out.
So they're coming down off it and saying unlikely.
It just says 25%.
Why
can't I say
it's going to depend. 25% or less on any kind of weather delay?
Yeah. Just on a chance of precipitation. They're not listed under possible weather delay.
To be fair, Grant Holmes being chalky at 22%, Yamamoto at 18%, DeGrom at 16%. I don't know if Holmes is the clear-cut chalk in that spot. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else, when the lock happened and the numbers came out and you clicked around on lineups, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else was higher than Holmes. They're all three pretty close to about the same. I don't know. I don't know how much I would trust that, 3%, 2%. Like he's going to be higher owned than Zach Gallen and Matthew Boyd for sure. I don't know. You could certainly use it. It's not clear enough chalk that you just got to, that if you eat it, you got to be contrarian somewhere else. It looks like there's a little bit of a spread there. I don't know. I personally wouldn't worry. I'd play one of those three, Holmes, Yamamoto, or DeGrom. I would not play Holmes with any kind of rain chances personally. That's just me. I think DeGrom and Yamamoto are fine on FanDuel. And then I would be looking at the stacks. Whether or not I wanted to play Houston and where I wanted to play them. Let there be light.
Ball.
Yeah. Ball. GS is giving you a lot of Brady Singer in. I don't know if I'd like that.
No. There's weather concern. Possible weather concerns. But
I don't know if I'd like Singer on FanDuel out of all those other options.
FanDuel definitely, not.
As an SP2, I guess a little bit, but I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in Singer for FanDuel in GPPs and stuff. If he nuts the slate, tip my cap and move on.
Boston hadn't been playing great. Then they exploded last night. So if they go back to, if last night was a blip,
Right. Boy.
But it's just like DeGrom. I mean, you really think he's going to perfect game almost the Orioles again?
No. Nope, I don't.
But
at least I think he's got as much upside as anybody to, hit the 8K mark, give up a run or two, and post 20-something on DK and more, obviously, on FanDuel. Who's of all those pitchers, who's the one you think has the best shot at 60 points on FanDuel?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it can be several of these guys. You could argue Yamamoto won't go deep enough in the game. You can argue DeGrom has blown his wad. You can argue Holmes has weather concerns. You can argue whatever, but it's going to be a while before I get down to Singer. The reason, golly, and it's splitting hairs, but the reason that I think that FanDuel likes Singer is this 3.34 fantasy points per dollar versus 3.32 and 3.31 in more expensive pitchers, and it wants to get you into Coors.
I
think that's
Grant
a small
Holmes
to live on.
It's the highest scoring pitcher on. Grant Holmes is the highest scoring pitcher on FanDuel
through your Sims.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, like I said, that's not taking into account that it could, delay or
No, sure, it didn't rain out. Yeah, it didn't rain out 15% of those games or anything. I mean, nobody should trust the Atlanta weather entirely, but if you get closer and closer to lock and it appears more and more like weather is not a concern, that's fine. Just remember,
up in Discord, those guys are going to be
for sure
all over. Upper Slate is, he's just one of the sharpest guys I've ever encountered, and on top of everything,
for sure. Yeah, I'm not obviously taking away from the credibility.
Oh, no, yeah.
I look at my own stuff, and here's the thing, and this is where I would go back to what I was looking at before we took the air. Some of the computer models have it no storms popping up at all. Another model or two had big red blobs popping up over Atlanta. I don't know which one to trust. They're computer models. And when it's kind of not a clear-cut consensus there, I think that anything can happen. Do I think that you can play? Do I think you can play Holmes? Yes. Do I think you can fade Holmes on weather concerns? Yes. I think there are plenty of worlds where both are correct. Just know the risk. Know the risk you're taking. In a cash game, no. Even if he's chalk, there's just enough risk there. In cash games, I would not. Tournaments, sure. Tournaments are all about risk, man. You got to guess. You got to be right.
Yeah. It's all about your risk tolerance.
Astros traditionally bat against pitchers they've never seen. Welcome to St. Louis, my friend. So are we. It's almost as if they study film too much.
I believe there's a monsoon outside.
Your house?
Yeah.
Nobody no cutting grass today.
There will most certainly not. Not that there was a plan to.
We had a good day here. Me and my wife ate lunch outside today. Went to a restaurant and ate on the patio.
Now I got to figure out where I'm going to go get a steak.
There you go. Well, as long as you go in packing your A1 sauce, nobody can screw with you. Acuna or Tucker is a spend up on DK. Yeah. Probably Acuna. My reason behind Acuna is typically he's got more tools to offer than Tucker. Hits for a little bit better average.
I think Acuna is safer.
Runs for a little bit more speed. I think that Acuna is going to post more 40-point games than Tucker. I mean, Tucker's got to hit 2 bombs usually. I know he steals some bases and whatnot, but and I know the Cubs are going to score 10 runs more than the Atlanta Braves are.
I put Acuna up there in the Ohtani.
Yeah, he's in the
realms. He's just a special.
So's Tucker, but not.
Yeah.
This year he's not hitting bombs like he was in Houston or was last year. That may change. I'd put Cal Raleigh in that territory to this year.
Yeah.
He's up there with them all. He's going to hit a lot of 30-point games. if I had to pick, though, I'm going to pick Acuna, not knowing the pitching matchups. I'm going to pick Acuna over Tucker just on roundedness.
It's Acuna versus Tyler Anderson. Tucker's facing my brain. Remember who Chicago's playing?
It's probably not going to matter for me.
Gavin Williams.
Yeah, without digging in, it's not going to bother. It's not going to whatever. I mean, you could even go as far as to say Acuna's hitting the lead off and Tucker's hitting second or third, and it's 10% more likely Acuna's going to get even that extra at bat too, and that can make all the difference. You just don't know. We put our money on very, very thin edges in baseball. Very, very thin edges. I mean, I've used this example before too. Guy comes up, there's two men on base, and he hits a ball foul that hits, it crosses foul by a foot. Well, and then the next one, he chops one to the pitcher who throws him out at first. That was just some 25-point swing for you.
Yeah.
He hits a 3-run shot versus getting a 0, and he was a foot away from it. Man.
Or like last night, dude cranks a home run only for Jackson Merle to go up, reach back, and pull it back.
Hit that thing 6 inches farther, and it's a 18-point swing.
Yeah.
That's what you are ultimately gambling on with 9 dudes. I mean, I heard that through the computer. But I mean, I'll tell you what that is. Any of the religious people out there, that's God punishing you for using A1 sauce on your steak. He's telling you, get off of that shit.
Maybe he's creating a great flood and bringing me cows in. I'll take a picture later. It's 2 cows floating in my backyard.
That's right. Glass half full, glass half empty kind of people. I think that probably about does it for today. How about you?
Yeah, I think that, I haven't started building anything. So
I've got my lineups reserved and my stuff, and
guys.
There was more crowd participation today than usual. So I appreciate that. That helps us guide the show. Hopefully you put up with our stories. We're just killing time waiting for some people to pile in and ask some questions. But for, as usual, me, Tattoo, the whole DFS Army crew, use that MLB Live coupon if you guys want to come and talk more baseball with us throughout the day. And
don't get drunk and cut your own hair.
Oh my God, that's sage advice, my friend. I mean, it's not like Great Clips did a whole lot better today. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
So you saved $20. Anywho, everybody have a good day. Tat, you got any sage advice outside of cows floating by and cutting your own hair?
No. Helmets up. Go to the swag store. Buy yourself something.
Oh, that's true. We got to show that tab more often up there it's right there at the top next to all the stuff in the DFS Army
new shirt
website.
There.
I like it.
Dedicated to our
Brass GPT,
Lord and Savior, Jesus.
Nice. Harlock, I'm with you. Whoever I choose for stacks is going to suck. So if I was you guys, I'd stay probably off of those cubbies. That seems to be where I'm going to try and go tonight. But they're probably not going to do squat for anybody. All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, and I will. I guess we'll see y'all then. Yeah. Good luck.
Indeed.
Hopefully somebody wins some money because we know.
As long as it's a helmet up top, I don't give a shit.
We know this guy ain't winning shit tonight, so that leaves all the room in the world for everybody else. You guys have a good day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. All right.
See y'all tomorrow.